Alright, so this is going to be the iPhone X PowerPoint slide that we're going to replicate, and this is going to be our version of it. Now, it's not an exact replica, but it's fairly close. I didn't know what fonts they use and what icons they use and things like that, but it looks pretty close to the same. And here is a different color scheme of that design, and here's what we're going to turn it into. We see this has an image in the background with a gradient overlay and just gives it a different look. Also, the arrows here have a shadow and adds a little bit more depth. So this is what we're going to design. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, just so you know, these finished slides are all going to be available. This PowerPoint project is going to be available to download. I'll put the description or the link in the description below. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, as I mentioned, we're not going to make an exact replica, but what we are going to exactly replicate are the fundamental principles that the designer of this slide used to make this slide visually appealing. So let's get started, and let's put a guide right here in the middle. And one thing that we notice right away is that the iPhone is right in the center of the slide. And if we keep putting grids, patterns start to emerge. For example, if we put a guide right here, we discover one of the first design principles that he or whoever designed this slide used, which is alignment. Alignment is a fundamental principle in design to make something look visually appealing to us. So if you notice here, the icon is vertically aligned with the icon below. And if we keep going, adding grids, we're going to see how this header is vertically aligned with this paragraph text, and this section is vertically aligned with the section below. So again, the use of alignment. So let's keep putting grids. We see that it's even the edges of these paragraph text are aligned. And so this is the right side of the iPhone. Now we move over to the left, and we're going to see the same thing. See how these icons are vertically aligned, as well as the header and the paragraph text over here. Also, this section is aligned with the section below. So we're seeing here this principle of alignment being used. It's creating symmetry as well as structure and making it look organized. And when we see these things, we just naturally view it as aesthetically pleasing. So we already got these guys. Now let's go ahead and continue putting guides horizontally. We see that these are aligned, the headers are aligned there. Again, the paragraph is aligned with the paragraph text across. The header up below, or these headers are aligned as well. And this paragraph text is aligned. So even if we come over here, we see that the icons are aligned over here. Now, something that we notice once we start putting grids, we start seeing these patterns, but we could also notice when something is not quite right. For example, the spacing between this icon and the paragraph in the header over here is not the same size as the icon and the paragraph over here. So what we have to do is, we could fix that in our version. We see that here the grid is on 3, so we have to push this a little bit more over here so it could be the same spacing. And there you go. Now it's the same. Now in our version, what we're going to do is we're going to push this icon a little bit more towards this grid line or this guideline, just like this one. These icons are flush against or pushed against this vertical guidelines. So we're going to do that on our version just to keep everything looking really nice and aligned. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing, I'm going to just change the background color so we could see the grid lines a bit better. And let's go ahead and add some text now for speed's sake. So this tutorial doesn't last forever. I'm just gonna copy paste some text, put it here. I'm gonna go ahead and align it a little bit closer to this grid line, just so that it matches that. Then I'm gonna copy paste the paragraph text over here that I have, and just make sure it's aligned just like that. And once we have both of these, we could hold Control, click the header and the paragraph, and then press you hold Shift, then click. It'll grab both of these, and you hold Shift and Control, and you drag this to the other side. Now we want to right align this paragraph and this header. So what we'll do is we'll go over here. We want to left align it. And so we'll do that, and also we'll go to align over here and left align. And simply all we have to do is move it closer to this vertical blue grid guideline. Once we have that, we could just hold Control and Shift again, since it's all selected, and just drag it down, and again align it with that yellow guideline here, just like this header text and this paragraph text. I want to bring it a little bit more below. We might have to move this guideline a little further up. There you go, just so that it matches. And then I'm gonna go ahead, grab that, do the same thing, Control and Shift, bring it across over here, align this to the blue grid, and we want to right align this so it is flush with this vertical guideline. Let's go ahead and align it to the right and just move it over like that. Now, you know you have it right when this red line, the smart guide, lets you know that this section is vertically aligned with this section. Now, if we take a look at that, just by using this principle of alignment, we already see that it has a structure and it looks well organized. And now let's go ahead and add the main element, the iPhone. I already edited this iPhone in Photoshop, and this iPhone mockup, as well as all the other assets, again, are going to be available to download in the PowerPoint file that I'll put in the description. Also, I'll put in the description where I found this iPhone mockup, just a blank iPhone mockup, so you could use it as well. So let's go ahead and continue. Once we have that, just let me make sure that the iPhone is centered, just like that. Let's see how that looks. All right, it's coming out nice. So let's see what else. So let's go ahead and add the icons. We see how, remember, the icons on the left, we need to push them and make sure they're pressed on close to this vertical line right here, so they could have the same spacing as these icons. So let's go ahead and do that. So now these icons, I found these icons on Icon Finder, or flaticon.com. Let's go there. This is flaticon.com. And for example, you can look at for planes. And let's say I want this plane here. I press this button, and in the slide that we're replicating, we'll have a PNG, so it's transparent, and the outlines are white, and just download at 64 pixels. Again, all these assets are in the folder that you could download. All right, so let's keep going. So this is aligned, this icon's aligned properly. Let's keep going to bring in the icon over here. We see that this icon's aligned, same spacing between the icon and the header and the paragraph. Let's go ahead and put in the clock. go. Let's continue. Put in this icon over here. Now let me just make sure this is right. So this is 2.29, and so then this should be 2.29 as well. So see how they're perfectly aligned. Again, let's see how that looks. Look at that. It looks visually pleasing already. It doesn't even have too much contrast, but just applying this fundamental principle of design, alignment, we're just using a purely alignment. Look how visually pleasing it looks. So let's continue. What else do we have here? So we have these arrows, and I wasn't able to find the exact arrows, but I was able to find a few. And these arrows, I found them at freepick.com. So you can come over here and put chalk arrows. I believe that's how I found them. And it's taking a little long to load up here, but yeah, you could just search what you want, and that's how I found my these chalk arrows. So let's continue. Let's put this one here. All right, so we're placing these arrows relatively where we found where these are. So let's keep going. Let's put the last one. There you go. Now let's see how that looks. All right, looking pretty nice. Now let's see what else we need. Let's put in this 1.5 font here, or number. Let's go ahead and do that. Again, I'm copy pasting for speed's sake. I don't want this to last forever, this tutorial, so let's place it there. And we'll also need the background. Now the background, it's quite easy to do. For example, you could just come in here, insert this shape, square shape, size of the canvas, and go ahead and change the outline to none, and the fill shape, get the eyedropper tool and click over here so it gets that color, move it to the right. Now we can duplicate it and just use the eyedropper again and move that color to the left, and then grab both of them by holding shift, clicking one, holding shift, and then click Control C to copy. Come over here and paste it. Now I paste it right on top. Now here's what you could do, because this is not, PowerPoint's not like Photoshop that has layers exactly, but in a way it does, because here you could just have your selection pane. Now you can't put them in folders and organize them the way you can in Photoshop, but here are the two rectangles we made, and we could just go ahead and drag them to the bottom, and there we go. It's in the background. We can go ahead and delete these. And now let's go ahead and make this. Now in order to make this shape, I went ahead and grabbed it from, where was it? I believe it was, no, I think it was this one, flowchart data. And nope, that's not it. Let's see. All right, it's here in the diagonal stripe. Diagonal stripe. Let's try it again. So, all right, what we're gonna try to do is get this shape going. All right. So that's about right. Nope. There you go. And then I'll just duplicate it and turn it around. Oops. Just like that. What did I do last time? I came over here. Oops. Let's try this again. Alright. Just have to mess with it a little bit to get the size just right. And we'll put it like that. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll get the eyedropper tool. Color that. Get the eyedropper tool. Color it this color and try to see if we can line it back relatively where it was. Alright. Alright, so now we select both of them. Oh, let's remove their outlines. There you go. Now we select both of them. Bring them over here. And there you go. So let's check out. Oh, this arrow needs to come forward. This 215. Let's bring it down. Well, let's bring it underneath all that. And so let's check out how it came out. So there you go. Let's see what else we have. All right, this has this horizontal line. So the way we could do that is simply go to Insert, Shape, Horizontal Line, and this line is going from this border to this border, and we could hold down Shift to keep it straight, and then we can move it down. Let's change its outline color to this gray, and then we see that it has 215. It says presentation template. Let's go ahead and I have already it written down. Just copy paste it. There you go. And also, as over here it says company address goes here, so go ahead and write that in. There you go. So let's check out how it came out. So that's the result. Again, just using a fundamental principle of alignment. Now we know there's other design principles involved here. For example, we have repetition because we have the same fonts being repeated throughout the slide, but also the header is being repeated like this, and the header font size as well as the alignments are being repeated and things like that. So we have this other fundamental principle called repetition, and repetition helps a design look cohesive and uniform. So that's taking place as well. Another principle is called contrast. Now this slide, it doesn't pop as much because it doesn't have a strong contrast. Something that's in style now is having really strong contrasting colors. So for example, that's this slide right here. Or we could do that by simply, let's say, grabbing this background, the gray background, and changing its color to this color. And then let's go ahead and, for example, let's change this to the same color as well. And just like that. There you go. Strong. It's a stronger contrast, and it kind of gives a little bit more of a pop. But let's see how we could turn it into a gradient. Now, the way we could do that is, let's say we add this image here, and we'll put it in the background, right? And then we could get insert a square shape and cover it, make it the whole size of the canvas, like so. And let's push this to the background, but let's put it in front of the picture, and let's change its give it no outline, and let's change it to a gradient. Let's see how we could do that. Let's go to gradient, and this is the color that I already have set up. Now the color is, if you look, see what this color is. Oops. Color. So here's the RGB code 2550108. Has a transparency of 25, and then this color over here on this side is 6394. 251 is the RGB code, and then the transparency is set to 0. So that's the look that it gives you. Now we could just add different color to these things here. So let's go ahead and put let's go ahead and put this color at purple, and let's go with that. So let's see how it comes out, and also let's change the color of this as well. Oops. Nope. Let's go to format, not shape. This is a text. So let's change the color of the text to, yeah, let's go with this color. All right, so now let's see how it came out. There you go. So you have a different look just by adding a image in the background and a gradient overlay. Also, let's add some depth here by giving this a shadow. So we could go to the format shape, shadow, and we could give it a center, or let's give it a left align shadow there. Let's go ahead and change the shadow of this to offset diagonal bottom left. Let's give this offset diagonal top right. Oops. Let's make sure we have that selected. All right, and let's do this offset diagonal top left. All right, let's see how that came out. So there you go. So you have a different variation. Here's the design we made, or this is the design that we copied and replicated, and this is what we turned it into. So, all right. Again, go ahead and download this PowerPoint slide and mess around with it. And if you liked the tutorial, please give it a like, and feel free to give me any advice on how to improve these tutorials. Alrighty, later.